everyone, Mystical Mark here. So this will be the astrology forecast for the week of August 13th to 19th of 2023. A lot of Leo and Venus type energy coming through this week. So let's jump right into it. All right, so let's get started with Sunday of this week. So for these videos, I'm going to just go over the major transits that are happening and maybe some quincunxes, as you can see in the chart with those dashed green lines. Just to try to keep this as focused and as kind of straightforward as possible, rather than going over a lot of like other small things or whatever. I want to try to keep these videos short and kind of maybe more to the point of really the major stuff that is happening astrologically throughout the week. All right, so on Sunday, the major thing that is happening here is the Sun in Leo will be conjunct Venus. So as you can see there in the bottom part of the chart there with Sun and Venus in Leo, this will happen early morning. So it's around 5 a.m.-ish Mountain Time where I am. So you can kind of calculate that based on wherever you are in the world. But yeah, so this is a major conjunction bonus. I don't know what I'm saying here. Okay, so this is a major conjunction point of Sun conjunct Venus in Leo. So this will be the Cazimi moment. So that is when Venus will be basically within less than a degree within the right center of the Sun. So they're in, I think it's, yeah, like within 3/4 of a degree or something like that, dead conjunct the Sun. And this is when planets are in these Cazimi points, is when they are their most powerful, because they're taking on the power of the Sun. In traditional astrology, when they're out kind of outside of that point near the Sun, they tend to like lose their power as they are kind of being overtaken by the Sun and the Sun's rays. So this Cazimi point is really bringing power to Venus. And as Venus is in retrograde, this is a very introspective moment to have a look at the things that Venus represents, which is, of course, relationships, career, money, those kinds of things. Being in Leo, this is really bringing it to the forefront. Like, this is bringing it to center stage. It's really highlighting this, not just with Leo, but with the fact that it's the Sun here. Of course, the Sun does rule Leo. So this is kind of accentuating that kind of energy of this conjunction for this day. But this is kind of really highlighting also, in terms of the Leo energy, unconditional aspects of unconditional love, aspects of self-love, being yourself. And this is like this extreme highlight of that stuff, and it's very introspective. So it's taking a look at the things that already exist within our lives in terms of our careers, relationships, money, you know, anything else kind of Venus related. What we want to do to like feel good, sensuality, art, beauty. Of course, with Leo, this can deal with creativity in that aspect as well, romance. And is that coming from a place of our own self-integrity, from our own place of unconditional love within ourselves? And are we truly presenting ourselves in our careers and our relationships and to the other people around us in our world as our own authentic, unique self? Because remember, Leo is it. You shine bright in Leo. You are representing yourself. You are shining your own light onto the world through that aspect of unconditional love. Because you have to remember, unconditional love always starts with you, right? Right? You can't love somebody else without knowing how to love yourself first. So that's kind of where that comes from, is that, are you shining your own light, your own divine, unique light within those things, within your relationship, career, within all of that? Is it authentic? You know, in terms of like the money side of it, are you receiving your money authentically? Are you working at a place where you feel like it's authentic? Are you spending your money authentically? Like, are you using that unconditional love of yourself and shining it out into the world to maybe influence others to do the same for themselves as well? But again, Venus is retrograde here, so this may be more of an introspective aspect of that, of you in your own life and what you are shining on to the world, and just having a look at that and, you know, realizing maybe if you're not loving yourself, if you're not shining your true light, if you're not showing your truth to the world, maybe having a look at that and to review and reflect and go over where, a lot of that may need to change, right? Because remember, Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and in Taurus we have Uranus and Jupiter. So there's a very expanded aspect of, this uniqueness and individuality, although Taurus can be very stubborn and may not want to change. So Uranus and Taurus can kind of force change in certain ways, but it can be kind of hard to push through and may feel somewhat abrupt because Taurus is very stubborn and doesn't want to change. And when we think of things like our relationships and careers, those are kind of like solid foundations in our lives. Well, if you're in a relationship with someone, maybe, you have a house with them, you have money with them, you have all of these kind of things that tie in with that. And with this retrograde kind of showing, well, are you being authentic in that? That can be a hard thing to change and to move forward with and to deal with, but it is something, that in the grand scheme of things, especially in our own lives, we really need to take a look at within our own selves, because the more authentic we are, the more authentic our relationships are, the more authentic our world is, the happier we're going to be, the more positive we're going to be, and the more we're going to be able to shine our light onto the world. So that's kind of really the only thing that I see here major that is happening on Sunday. All right, so let's move on to the week to Monday, the 14th. So on Monday, we're going to have the moon start to ingress into Leo here as well. This chart is set to very early in the morning, so you still see the moon at the end of Cancer there. But we will be moving into Leo, preparing for the Leo new moon that will happen on early morning on Wednesday. So here we also have on this day, Venus will be an exact trine to Chiron. So now this kind of leads off what I mentioned about yesterday with this Sun conjunct Venus, or this Venus Cazimi moment, when it's like, are we authentically and unconditionally loving ourselves? Because this trine would also be a building to this exact also on the Sunday as well. So this is definitely highlighting maybe where we've been wounded in our individuality, as Chiron is in Aries. So as an individual, as our soul expression, as our, this is a very masculine essence. It's where we take action, where we want to, stand up for ourselves and move forward in the world. But with Chiron here, it's where we've had these wounds of self, the wounds of the I am principle, right? And where we need to really begin to start to move forward and want to shine that more into the world. Remember, Chiron and Venus here are both retrograde through this trine. So trine is a positive energy, so we're maybe going to start to see, maybe positive aspects of, I almost want to say where we've been hurt, like where we've learned, this has hurt me. I understand who I am. I've had this experience now, but let's use this as a building block, as a stepping stone to move forward and to be myself, more unconditionally. It's like I've experienced this pain. I've experienced like these types of things in my life. It's time to move on from that trauma, move on from that hurt, and use that as a stepping stone to build forward, to know that that can no longer hurt me. I've already experienced that. I can no longer be hurt by it anymore. Let's move forward, right? It's this healing of self. And this unconditional love for yourself and pushing that forward again, like I said, into this world and into that space. Also on this day, we do have Neptune quincunx the South Node in Libra. So now the nodes have moved. So North Node is now in Aries, South Node now in Libra. So codependency in relationships and the other person or other people are less of a thing now, right? The North Node's focus is in Aries. We're more focused on the self. We're more focused on where we want to go in our lives, where we want to take action in our lives. Right, South Node Libra can be very like, it can be codependent because you want harmony in a relationship, so you'll do whatever it takes to attain that harmony, even if it goes against your own self. As someone who has this nodal aspect in their own chart, so yes, I have North Node, Aries, South Node, Libra, and in fact also at 27 degrees. And for those of you that know astrology, also know how old I am now, based on the nodal return. However, through this, with South Node in Libra, South Node and Libra natives, they know very much how to attain balance in their relationships. And this can lead to very doormat type energy. People can treat you like crap because you let them take advantage of you because you want harmony in the relationship, because you feel the only way to have harmony is for that other person to be happy. Whereas North Node in Aries is learning to put yourself first, right? It's learning to understand that your happiness also matters. So it's good to know that you have certain acts of diplomacy, or you have this ability to be able to create harmony in your relationships. But now this time is on the focus of self. So we're done dealing with other people's BS, and we need to focus on our own selves, right? We're not here to please other people. We're not here to do any of that. We've already experienced that. We know that, and that is the best thing that we know now. So we need to no longer focus on those codependent strategies or focus so much on the other person, but to focus on ourselves. And through focusing on ourselves, we then create the example for other people to learn to do the same for themselves. So we become more independent and less codependent, right? So there is a balance to strike here still, obviously, with this Libra and Aries stuff. It's good to know how to maintain harmony within a relationship, but to also do that while being independent at the same time, while being you and yourself, and learning to honor that as well. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that here, as I haven't really posted any videos since this nodal shift has in fact happened. Right, so with this Neptune quincunx here, there may be like a frustration involved. This could be people from the past, relationships from the past. This could be coming up in dreams, Neptune in Pisces, dreams. This could be, old romance connections. Pisces and Neptune can deal with like romance or like rose-colored glasses type things. So things may come up for you that kind of deal with that either need to be integrated through this quincunx energy, or may seem somewhat frustrating, but it's almost coming up so that you can kind of move forward in this new independent direction. It's kind of this frustration from the past, or from this kind of, codependent or doormat type energy. It's like, do I really want to go back into that space? And especially with the Venus retrograde, with Venus also ruling Libra, where the South Node is, we may see old relationships from the past really do actually come up. And with this trine here as well, where we've been wounded to our individuality in that sense and in that state as well. So we should take this opportunity to integrate those experiences from our past, to learn from them, to integrate that pain and that hurt. And like I said before, with this trine to Chiron, to use that as a stepping stone and moving forward into a better direction in our own sovereignty, in our own self, and being our own authentic selves in moving forward. And like I said, with this Neptune quincunx here, that can come up with dreams or in dreams, and that can deal a lot with romance, or may appear in a somewhat creative way, right? Or you may have this mask of like rose-colored glasses, or you're seeing where the illusion was in those relationships, where the illusion was within that codependency. You thought that codependency was the right thing to do, but it's just frustrating as hell to think of it now, because you know where you've done wrong, but there's an integration that needs to happen there of maybe that lesson that you have learned. So there may be a frustration with that stuff maybe coming up from the past, but remember, these wounds and this stuff, like especially with that trine to Chiron, it's an inwardly focused thing on really trying to focus more on ourselves and our own light and our unconditional love for ourselves to be able to move forward in a more independent way. All right, so let's have a look at Tuesday here now. So on Tuesday, we're going to have the Sun in exact square with Uranus. So again, this could actually be a focus on more of your individuality, but this can be a tough change, right? With Uranus and Taurus, it can be a bit of a tough change. Although it can be positive, because Taurus also wants to feel good. It wants to have those positive, physical experiences, right? Taurus, it's money, it's sensuality, it's food, it's the good things, those pleasures in life. And it is ruled by Venus. So again, there's still this Venus energy that is very much involved here. And of course, a square aspect forces things to happen. So this could be very much forcing things to change into a more, we can look at this Taurus space, more feel-good type energy, but also in the Leo space, more of an unconditional love type space and more of what you want to show and represent for you in your life. So this could be changes in relationships. This could just be recognizing your own individuality and the pressure that it's putting on you to kind of change and move forward into that unique space that's going to make you feel good, that's going to make you feel like yourself and represent yourself more in this world and in this space. And from that space of unconditional love and learning to unconditionally love yourself and feel good with that. Right? Because a lot of the times we haven't really been taught that by our societies, our cultures, our families, some of the people around us at our jobs. We deal with a lot of abuse and stuff in our lives, and this is kind of maybe learning to change that, right? Remember, Taurus is a very stubborn earth, fixed earth sign, and we're dealing with both fixed energies here, but this is needing to change within that fixed space to fixate on something new. Something new that comes from a space of unconditional love, but also that's coming from a space of what is feeling good. And of course, unconditional love for ourselves is going to feel good. It is going to feel great, right? That's where our feel-good space is. Taurus and Leo may square, but they have kind of a similarity in that Leo it's like that royalty. It's like, I'm the king, I'm the queen, I deserve the best. And of course, Taurus always wants kind of the best physically. It wants to feel good. It wants things to taste good. It wants good sex. It wants all of these good things. And Leo can kind of relate into that sense, but Leo always comes from the space of unconditional love and shining your own light in order to get that. And with Uranus here, the ruler of Aquarius, this is dealing with your own uniqueness. Right? And this can also deal with collectively as well, learning to unconditionally love each other and shine our own lights into the world. And despite them being different, learning to respect that. And I think that's a big thing that's hard to kind of shift right now with Uranus and Taurus, where we have this stubborn energy, but yet we still want to radically move into this new space that's going to make us feel better, that is honoring our individuality, honoring our uniqueness, and our own innate rebellion to just be our own unique selves, and learning to love ourselves within that. All right, also on this day, we do have Juno ingressing into Leo. Again, I have this chart set early in the morning. You can see Juno there at the end of Cancer, ready to make its ingress into Leo. Looks like closer to around midday. All right, so Juno, again, dealing with aspects of partnerships. So this is business partnerships, financial partnerships. This is also committed partnerships, whether you're in a committed relationship or a committed marriage or something like that. Again, moving into Leo, we're coming from this space of things are going to be more center stage. Things may come to light. You may see certain types of relationships or partnerships come into the limelight, into the spotlight. Be more focused on that, but also focusing on those things from a place of unconditional love. And remember here with Venus in retrograde, what isn't in that space of unconditional love will need to fall away. This is a very introspective space, very internalized. So during this actual retrograde, we may see relationships fall apart within this space, but we may just see the internalization of, oh, hey, maybe I need to actually do something about this. And once Venus goes direct again and is moving through that shadow is when you may see more relationships maybe start to split up, or not just even relationships, but possibly career changes. And now with Juno here in Leo, business partnerships, those kinds of things, because those will need to be more in a space of that unconditional love, or coming from the heart, or at the very least be more focused in center stage. So we may see more of the truth behind those partnerships and relationships and what's going on with those as well. All right, let's move on to Wednesday, where we're going to have this new moon. Okay, so on this day, we have the new moon in Leo. So again, this is just kind of going off of more of what I've already really said, just regarding this unconditional love space. We're moving into this new space of unconditional love, right? And with the moon here conjunct the sun in this space, we're feeling that emotionally now as well. Right, and with the sun, of course, still in square to Uranus, the moon in this space, we're recognizing these aspects of our own uniqueness, individuality, and the unconditional love that kind of comes from that. Venus is also still in trine to Chiron during this space. Remember, they're both retrograde, so this is very introspective, right? But we're starting on a new foot into this realm, into this space. Another thing I didn't mention with this Juno ingress into Leo is Juno, you can see here, is excuse me, sorry, still kind of in this opposition to Pluto in Capricorn, even though it's changed signs. So now that Juno is here, these partnerships and relationships are going to be more focused, and we may see either power struggles with Pluto here, power struggles regarding control, but also this bringing to the surface aspects of control within these partnerships and relationships, ultimately to be changed and transformed for the better. However, since Pluto is retrograde, this could be more internalized, but we're kind of bringing out, it could be more behind the scenes as well, bringing out things that we don't normally see. You know, when a planet is direct, things are moving forward, everything seems normal and status quo, but when we're retrograde, it's not, right? When you have retrograde planets in a natal chart, you're not really feeling like you maybe fit in to people who have a lot of, you know, direct planets in their chart. So the same thing kind of applies here. We're kind of seeing this, you know, things may be coming to light to be transformed that we haven't really seen before kind of in this space, especially when it deals with aspects of power and control or goals, careers, those Capricornian types of things. And of course, with Juno moving into Leo, we want to be more of an unconditional love space, but this is also bringing these things to light. Now, back to this new moon. So we're moving into this new kind of space, like I said, of unconditional love, understanding our wounds with these aspects to Chiron, these aspects to, also to, Uranus. Jupiter is in Taurus here. They're a very wide conjunction, but the fact that they're in the same sign together, Jupiter is expanding wherever it's in, the sign that it's in. So we want to feel abundant. We want to feel good. We want to feel, this fixed Taurus type energy of sensuality, of feeling good in our lives. But with Uranus here, we kind of need to recognize our individuality. We need to recognize that in order to begin to move in a space where we can all feel good together. And so this square is having this aspect of possibly learning more unconditional love and learning to express ourselves in that way as well. And with this Venus retrograde, of course, being more introspective in terms of those Venusian type of energies that, of course, Taurus and Libra both rule. All right, I'm not really going to touch too much more on that new moon, as I think a lot of what I said with these aspects building up to it kind of relate to this new moon energy. And of course, the new moon signals this new lunar month, this new fresh start. And in a lot of ways, it's a new fresh start in what I've already kind of gone over astrologically up to this day. On this day as well, we have Mars in Virgo here, in trine to Uranus, right? So it's not showing here again, as I have this chart set very early, but you see Mars, once it's almost at 23 degrees. So once it hits 23 degrees later in the day, it will be an exact trine to Uranus and Taurus. So again, we could feel this with Mars in Virgo. It can be very mundane, can be very boring. With Uranus there, it may want to change that, right? There's a change that kind of needs to happen. And Virgo is very much like the workers, the worker people, your day-to-day life, your day-to-day schedule, this aspect of perfection as well. So there may be this ideal of the Mars, I need to strive for this perfection, I need to be perfect, I need to do all of these things, I need to get all of this shit done, I need to focus on all of these details, I need to do all of this stuff. Virgo can be very, you know, and it's also, Virgo can also deal with our physical health as well. And with a trine Uranus here in Taurus, this may symbolize a change to maybe need to slow down in this space, put a more focus on what we take action on. That, you know, it could be also a more rebellious space as well, but positive rebellion, right? So, because remember, Taurus wants to feel good. Uranus and Taurus wants to understand individuality and rebellion in the sense that maybe we want to feel better. We want to have better things. We want to have abundance in our lives. And if Mars and Virgo, remember, these are the workers, the people. If we're not kind of feeling good in this space, we may want to have this rebellion. But again, this is a trine, so this is a positive shift in energy, maybe in our work life, in our passions, in our day-to-day, to help to make us to try to feel better. Or things could be brought up to be recognized kind of in this sense. And of course, with Jupiter and Taurus, it just expands this to that more extreme. So remember, with this new moon, we want to move into this new space. So things are also going to be, you know, even though it's a new moon, so it's a dark moon, with Leo energy, it always brings things to light, brings things to the forefront, brings things to center stage. That's kind of how Leo works. So it's kind of like illuminating your light onto this new space. But I'm almost feeling here with this new moon, it's almost like showing or illuminating the darkness in the sense to bring the love and the light into it, right? So, but we need to do this to ourselves. Leo, first and foremost, is about unconditional love for the self, right? There's a lot of actors and, you know, actresses and things like that that have strong Leo placements. And it's because in order to put yourself out there in front of a camera, in front of everything, right, it requires that strong self-confidence that only can come through self-love. Understanding that it doesn't matter what other people think when you put yourself out there, you need to shine your own light because that light is what's brightest, right? You're not looking at these other people. So it's kind of, you know, focusing on moving forward into that more unique you space, right? And finding passion. And with Mars and Virgo, kind of maybe finding passion for your perfection within your own self and realizing that you are perfect in your own unique way with that trine to Uranus, right? That uniqueness. All right, also on this day, we have Mercury in quincunx to Chiron. So this is Mercury. Now, Mercury is currently in shadow. Mercury will retrograde on August 23rd. So we're still within this 2-week shadow period. We're pretty close now to Mercury going retrograde. Mercury will retrograde at 21 degrees of Virgo. So this focus here on our day-to-day lives, day-to-day schedules, careers, those kinds of things. It could be very detail focused in this space as well. Could also be related to health, physical health, nutrition, those kinds of things. And it's in quincunx to Chiron. So there could be a frustration here of healing, regarding healing ourselves, healing our individuality, ourselves, and maybe in our day-to-day lives, our day-to-day schedules. This can deal with jobs as well that may not allow us, or where we've been wounded, but they're not allowing us to heal. They may not be giving us the space to heal. This could be where this positive, you know, rebellion and change could come from with this Mars trine Uranus as well. You know, shaking up of that fixed energy, right? Taurus is a fixed sign. It's like fixated, we need to do this. It's like, well, no, maybe we do need to change to make things better. Virgo is also about reworking things and bringing back its original state, bringing it back to its divine perfection, right? That's why I hate to say this, but the Virgo is known as the virgin, right? It's bringing it back to its natural state. And I don't mean that as virgin in terms of sexuality or things like that. That's a whole completely like different thing. I mean it in the sense of bringing it back to its natural state. And that is not meaning anything about virginity in terms of sexuality or anything. It doesn't matter if you're not a virgin or not. That whole virginity, whatever complex, it's just a bunch of BS anyway. That doesn't matter, right? It's just bringing it, in this sense, what I mean by that is it's bringing whatever back to its natural state. Because you notice a lot of people that have Virgo placements, they like to be very organized, they like to be very clean, they like to be very, they have things almost OCD in a sense to a perfect kind of their own natural state. They don't like things to get messed up. They don't like things to be whatever. They may like to fix things or tinker with things. They look at the details to keep things clean and perfect and fresh. That is what I mean by that. All right, so yeah, with Mercury in quincunx to Chiron, remember Mercury is in shadow, so sometimes Mercury's shadow can be even more intense than the retrograde itself. So be sure to be focused on detail. Look at the details. This could be about day-to-day life stuff, this physical health, nutrition, food, that kind of stuff within, our local environment. With Mercury here, this could relate to mental health as well, but that's kind of more of a Pisces 12th house thing. But it is in quincunx to Chiron, so there may be a frustration here regarding in our day-to-day lives where the wounds keep coming up, where we need healing, where we need the space to heal. And with Mercury slowing down, this may mean that, yeah, we need to slow down to heal these spaces in our lives regarding ourselves, our individuality, our own self. So that may be what is part of the highlight of this retrograde, is that frustration can come up and we may need to try to have to integrate some of that, taking the time to maybe slow down to heal ourselves, to bring us back to that maybe more natural state and space. All right, let's have a look now to Thursday the 17th. So Thursday the 17th, we just have the Sun conjunct Black Moon Lilith. So this is kind of maybe getting in touch with our own inner rebel, our own inner dark side, where we felt cast out by society. Again, this could bring in these aspects of unconditional love for ourselves in a lot of these ways, right? So, and Black Moon Lilith is also the divine feminine energy that was outcast for trying to be within her own power. So what about the divine feminine within you? And yes, that goes for everyone, right? We all carry, no matter what your physical gender is, everyone carries both divine masculine and divine feminine energy. Energetically, we are all androgynous. And those energies, when in balance and working together, is what creates harmony and allows us to be, our full balanced selves. So there may be wounds to this feminine power within ourselves, and especially in a lot of men, since this is the sign of Leo, which is in fact a very masculine sign, where this feminine energy may have been hurt in a lot of men, and a lot of men do suppress their feminine energy because society tells them to, because they're made to believe that it's weak. Feminine energy is not weak. Okay? Scorpio is a feminine sign. Scorpio ain't weak. A Scorpio will come and fuck you up. Okay? It's not weak energy at all. You're made to believe that, as the feminine energy has very strong power. It's very intuitive. It's very psychic. It's basically the instructions for the masculine energy and what to do. But if the society and the world suppresses that aspect in men, then that masculine energy has to get guidance from somewhere else, right? So it's kind of like a hijack system where society comes in and says, okay, you have to listen to us now. Rather than listening to your own inner divine feminine, your own heart, which is that connection to the universe, to source, which allows you to live your life as you were meant to live it, as your higher self wants you to live it, instead of as how society wants you to live it. So remember, this can be the inner rebel. And Black Moon Lilith is also, knowing what, it's like, hey, I don't want to listen to these people. I see what's going on, here, really. I want to take action on this. I want to do something about this. This could be knowing kind of secrets, this rebellious side, this wanting to go, fight the man kind of a side. But it's that feminine energy that was, outcast out of society. So we may see this focus now, especially as it reaches that Kazemi moment, where that becomes really strong on the state of focus on that inner divine feminine within all of ourselves, and learning to heal where we may have felt outcast in expressing that strong feminine power in our own lives and in our day-to-day. Okay, let's move on to Friday here. So Friday is actually kind of just a bare bones day. We've got the moon moved now off out of Leo into Virgo, so we're kind of out of this new moon energy kind of a space, moving into a more practical day-to-day type space. Later in the day, looks like it'll conjunct Mars and Mercury shadow. So we maybe have a more emotional focus now on these kind of Mercury retrograde type themes, and looks like it'll hit that quincunx to Chiron and everything too. So there may be an emotional element now to that aspect of healing. So let's move on to the last day of the week here, Saturday the 19th, where we'll have moon coming into Libra, and then we'll have the sun trining the north node and sextiling the south node. So now here with the sun nearing the end of Leo before its ingress into Virgo, it is now trining the nodes, trining the north node, sextiling the south node, now that they have shifted, into new signs and new spaces here. So with this trine to the north node, like I said, this is very much highlighting again that space of unconditional love for our own independence, our own self, right? Recognizing love for the self. And with this sextile to this south node, it's understanding the past and where we have come from that codependent space. We have learned now these aspects of, like I said previously in this video, of harmony within relationships and connecting harmonically, connecting in a harmonious way with other people in our lives and learning that harmony within our relationships. But now the major focus is this trine to the north node, learning unconditional love for ourselves now. Instead of putting it always on the other, learning it for ourselves, learning to shine our own light to move forward with our own independence. So that's kind of where I'm going to end off the week here. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you've got something out of this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button. If you didn't, well, you know what to do. If you have any feedback, any comments, feel free to leave a comment below. Any links to my socials, website, everything is also in the description below. Thank you. Hope you all have a really good week this coming week. And remember, love yourselves. Thank you. Take care. Bye.